Elephant Man Broadcast Network, grown man conversations dealing with elephants in the room. It's your man DB. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell so you can know when we have new material. What's going on? My lights is just, my other light went out, so I got to use this light till I get my new one coming in. What's going on? Shalom to everybody. This is a pre-recording, but I still want to get into that. Today, we're going to talk about UBI. Universal Basic Income. All are created equal. What is UBI? Let's get into some of that. Subscribe, like, share. Let's get into some of that UBI right now. See what's going on with it. Let's look at this cargo ships. Basically, no, let's don't do that. Let's don't do that. All right, let's do Universal Basic Income pros and cons. Let's go into that first. Let me see. Can we go into this video? No. We don't want to show that one yet. Sorry, guys. No, not that one. Sorry. Let's get to this other one. Let's get a different one. How's everybody doing out there? Hope everybody is blessed and highly favored. You guys made it through the All Hallows Eve. Very, very interesting time. So let's go with this one. All right, because I got like 4 videos. All right, there we go. We can start off with this. So this explains what UBI is.
Richest country on earth, and indeed the richest civilization that has ever existed. We put a man on the moon. We invented the internet, the assembly line, and the airplane. More billionaires live here than anywhere else on Earth. And we are widely acknowledged as being the most powerful single nation around. But for a country so wealthy and so innovative, our living standards are not that great. Our infant mortality and child poverty rates are among the highest in the developed world. Americans can expect to live shorter and sicker lives compared with people living in many other rich democracies. We have the highest incarceration rate in the world. And of the 10 richest countries, the United States comes in last in terms of mobility and opportunity. The United States is so rich, and yet so many of its citizens remain impoverished. There's a big idea out there that could help solve this. It's called a universal basic income. The government would give everyone, say, $500 or $1,000 a month. No strings attached, sort of like a Social Security payment. A basic income would help eliminate poverty, especially deep poverty and poverty among children. It would give workers more bargaining power. With that kind of safety net, people might become more entrepreneurial and take more risks. They might free themselves from abusive figures in their lives. They might go back to school. They might make more art. They might choose to spend more time with their families or take care of their elderly relatives or volunteer in their communities. And economists think it is unlikely that many people would stop working. Just look at lottery winners. 85% of them continue to work. Studies even show that people might be more productive, healthier, happier, and more cohesive as a society. Most importantly, a UBI would give Americans basic security and more control over their lives. There are some downsides to a UBI. It would cost a lot. Though the United States is a relatively low-tax country right now, and we could afford it. It might lead some people to stop working, particularly older workers, younger workers, and the parents of little kids. It might create inflation with prices rising, since everybody would have more money to spend. It also might grate against our deep-seated belief that nobody should get something for nothing. The idea of a basic income isn't new. It's been around for more than 500 years, with everybody from Martin Luther King Jr. to Richard Nixon to Bill Gates supporting some version of it. We're living in a time of great technological advancement and enormous abundance. But poverty continues. Some families have private inheritances, passing on their accumulated wealth. A basic income would be like a social inheritance, sharing the wealth that this society has created and eliminating deprivation for everybody.
Wow. Uncle Sam inheritance. Uncle Sam inheritance. Let me stop that other video. It's still going on to the next tag. That's crazy. All that glitters is not gold. You know it's going to come with the price. The Most High said we are bought with the price. You know, John 10:10 says, the enemy comes but to steal, kill, and destroy. Yahushua said, I come that you may have life and that more abundantly. It also says that the Bible also says Satan is the god of this world. And so he's not going to give us something for nothing. We know we got a lot of people that are hesitant about taking the jab for various reasons, whether it be from some medical abuse in the past, or it don't have to be some big conspiracy theory mindset. It could be medical abuse in the past. It could be a lot of different things why they wouldn't want to take the jab, right? But this universal basic income, this social, that's what I meant to say in the last show yesterday. I couldn't get it out. The social credit score that goes on. I can't hear. I was trying to get. I thought this light was going to work. I'm going to get another one. Social credit score. This is like a credit score, but it builds up with your cooperation and participation with the system, the world system, right? You get a high credit score. You can do things like travel. You get certain perks and other different kind of perks if you have a high social credit score. If you have a lower social credit score, then you can't do things. You know, I think some things, even punishable to fines and prison time and different things like that. So, you know, it's going to be, the government is going to take care of you, give a basic income. And some people ask, is it like welfare? I guess it can be something like welfare, but the only thing with the welfare was if you got anything above what the Uncle Sam was giving you, right? A man couldn't come live with the female or whatever. You couldn't get a car. If you had a car, you had to report it. If you got a little part-time job, you had to report it. I don't know, scratch and win, lottery ticket, anything you do, you had to report it. And so you was almost like penalized for making a better come up. So you was living beneath your means, and you was barely making it with the TANF and with the welfare system. But this universal basic income is supposed to be set up where everybody get the same basic living costs, whether it's $1,200 a month or I don't know what it's going to look like, because you know the living expenses are different in different places like Boston and San Francisco. It's higher to live in those areas as opposed to some other rural areas. You know what I mean? Another major cities that is expensive. So I don't know how that would roll out based on where you live at or whatever, but it will cost you, right? You will have to participate in your yearly jab or buy a annual jab or something like that. You have to do different things in order to get this, and that in order not to be shunned and not to be an outcast to this society. So it will cost you something, and then also, I don't think it will give you creativity. It will give you a lot more time, but I don't think you will be volunteering with the poor and have all this time to create these paintings and different things like that. I think it'll make you lazy, and it'll dub you all the way down, right? Everything ain't bad with capitalism. It's just when you step on one man's head or hands in order to use somebody else as a stepping stool against their will. To gain and acquire wealth, like chattel slavery and stuff like that. Okay, you got a human being in chains working for little or nothing in order to build your empire, in order to build what you had going on. You know what I mean? And so that's not really right. So when people say things like "Make America Great," well, for some it was great, but for others it was terrible. If we was to rewind the hands of time and go back in certain times in life, early parts of American history, it was not real cool for so-called African Americans and Hebrew people. And so universal basic income will make everybody equal. That's all we've been talking about is equality and equal and fair share, and so I don't think it looks good, but I don't think it's a good idea. Let's see another video got dealing with it. What you think about it? I don't think it's a very good idea. So let me get this other video up. Very, very interesting. I'm just building the case on it, just checking it out. Let's see. Okay, the colossal problem with universal basic income. Let's look at that one. The colossal problem. Some people's not with it. Let's check it out.
For a long time, I was a fan of universal basic income. And the logic I had was that, I always hear politicians talking about, let's create jobs for people. That's what we need is jobs, more jobs. And as if that's what's going to solve the economic problem. So the government is supposed to lend money to a bank who can then lend money to a corporation who will then build a factory in order for people to have jobs. Do we really need more jobs? In California, they're tearing down houses as we speak because the houses are in foreclosure and they want to keep market values high. U.S. Department of Agriculture burns food every week in order to keep the prices of that food high, even though there's people who are starving and people who need homes. We can't just let people have those homes. Why? Because they don't have jobs. So now we're supposed to create jobs for people to make useless stuff for other people to buy, and plastic crap that we're going to throw away or stick in storage units or end up in landfill, just so those people can have jobs so that we can justify letting them participate in the abundance. And that's kind of ass backwards. So I thought, well, shoot, rather than creating useless jobs, what if we just let people have the stuff that's in abundance? Just let people have the houses. What's the problem with this? And UBI kind of goes along that lines of, well, if we have more than enough stuff, if we don't need everybody working all the time, then why don't we just let people have income, or at least go to a 4-day work week or a 3-day work week or a 2-day work week? Or if work is the thing that's scarce, then why don't we meet that out and say, okay, we've got these 10 days that you're allowed to work this year. So come on to the farm and do that work. And then, you'll have to find something else for you to do the rest of the time. But in reality, it's not like that. If we were really that efficient, then we wouldn't be destroying the planet with pollution. What we've done is found ways of making stuff and doing things that require very little labor, but externalize a host of other problems to a whole lot of other places. So, we could 3D print or something, but the 3D print, where do you get the plastic goop for your 3D printer? What mine in Africa is it coming out of, and what topsoil is it destroying? When we're going to run out of topsoil in 60 years, it means that we're not actually using the appropriate labor-intensive permaculture solutions in agriculture and all that. So first off, that whole idea that we're moving towards lower employment is a myth. We've faked lower employment through extremely extractive, exploitative, polluting, and unsustainable business practices. And second, I was giving a talk at Uber, and I was talking to them about the problems with their business model and how they're putting all these drivers out of work. And here they are, these freelancers working for the company, basically training the algorithms that will be replacing them, without any profit participation in the end game company. And one of the guys got up and basically quoted back to me a passage from my own book, Throwing Rocks at the Google Bus, where he said, well, what about universal basic income? And when I heard it coming out of their mouths, I realized, oh, so universal basic income isn't just a way to help people have the money they need to survive and have time to innovate and come up with other solutions. It's becoming an excuse for companies like Uber to not pay a living wage to their workers. So what's the idea? Oh, we'll get the government to print more money to give it to workers for them to spend with us. So what really happens? What is universal basic income? It's just a way of perpetuating our roles as consumers at the bottom of the pyramid, not as owners. If we're going to go to anything, I would say, what about universal basic assets? What about actual participation? What if the workers owned the means of production? So you don't just give them a handout so that the money ends up in the same corporate coffers and going into the same shares. That's not the point. What universal basic income does, if you look at the whole model, is allows the people who own the lion's share of our world to own more and more of it. We just print more money and more of it goes up to the top. That's not the way to get long-term equity. Sure, Social Security, welfare, the dole, all those things are fine for those in need, but it's not a great long-term economic strategy. It's really just a Band-Aid on extractive corporate capitalism. How do we get to extract more? We'll just print more.
Wow. That was interesting. Let me stop that video. That was very, very interesting. And it was basically saying we'd just be just giving us stuff or giving us the money to get stuff, the different things, the material things that we think that we need. And we just be at the bottom of the barrel, the bottom of the pyramid, excuse me, just being a consumer. Instead of producing, instead of creating, we just be at the bottom of the barrel, dependent upon the government, and just being a consumer. So basically, he was like that universal basic income would be a disaster and terrible. And they were saying it would be real expensive to have universal basic income for the world. It would cost so much. See, they're going to paint it as equal. Because we've been hollering about civil rights and equal rights for years, and the Trayvon Martins and the George Floyds, and so they're gonna be like, "Here, look, now it's gonna be equal." You know what I mean? It's gonna be a way to say, "Okay, you know what? We've been really bad. Here's your form of payment of reparation. We'll take care of you now. We should have been on that." But it's a Trojan horse, man. And you're gonna give up certain liberties. You're gonna give up certain freedoms for Uncle Sam to take care of you. Totalitarian government, authoritarian government, right? The things that I talked about in 1984, part 1 and part 2. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and check out 1984, part 1 and part 2. The fourth industrial revolution, where machines and robots is taking the place of human. A lot of the jobs will be be replaced by AI technology, and so there's a lot of different things going on with that. I'm gonna read this real quick. UBI, Universal Basic Income, with the social and economic toll of the coronavirus pandemic striking hundreds of millions around the world, the idea of universal basic income has been raised as a potential solution. See, they offering it as a solution to, man, all of this money. I mean, all of this the coronavirus, and a lot of people have been sitting at home and been like, you know what, I'm just gonna collect my unemployment. I'm not going back to work, which hurts certain companies, which I believe it could be by design, because if you want to take out the middle, quote unquote, middle class, and was just the high class, the quote unquote high class, giving the low class and universal basic income and having them depend upon them. And if you participate and cooperate, you'll get your UBI, right? But if you don't participate, you don't cooperate, you don't do what I say, you will be ostracized, you will get a low social credit score, and you won't get your UBI. Okay. The universal basic income has been devised as potential solution. Unique new research is looking for the effects of UBI during the pandemic by analyzing data from a massive ongoing 12-year income study in Kenya. They railed it out in Kenya, right? When in doubt, use Africa as guinea pigs. And its conclusions suggest that the policies may help individual well-being, but it is not a silver bullet solution in times of extreme disruption. The idea of universal basic income proposes that all citizens of a country receive a regular, unconditional sum of money, either monthly or annually, calculated to cover basic living expenses, right? Your rent, your food, your bills, right? Gas to and from work if you go to work. UBI is increasingly touted as the efficient way to replace the unwildly bureaucratic mechanism of many government and social welfare systems, right? So they're saying it'll eliminate welfare because they will the money that they're using for the welfare, they'll put it into this UBI. It's still government assistance, right? In 2017, the massive UBI experiment kicked off in rural Kenya, managed by a non-for-profit Give Directly and designed by economists from MIT and Princeton. The U.S. $30 million project is set to run for 12 years and includes near 15,000 households across 295 villages. Why do they use Africa as guinea pigs? As I don't understand that. Even the same thing with when it comes to the jabs, right? The vaccines and different things like that. They go right into the rural villages of Africa and use them. The trial splits participants into 4 groups. A long-term cohort receiving payment of 75 cents per adult per day for 12 years, calculating to cover the basic needs such as food and health care. A short-term group receiving daily 75 cents payment for just 2 years, and a lump sum group receiving a single $500 payment equal to the total amount of the short-term group. And that is crazy. You know, the people are really, we are living above our means over here in the United States of America. 75 cents per adult. That's crazy. Equal to the total amount of short-term group will receive over 2 years. And a control group receiving no money. Right? A control group receiving no money. What? Across the back end of 2019, researchers running the trial collected a large volume of survey data from participants. The ongoing plan was to present interim trial findings in 2020. Interesting. And then the pandemic happened. The researchers quickly pivoted and turned the hurdle into an opportunity to investigate the effects of UBI on individuals during the pandemic. Thousands of participants in the trial were surveyed by phone in June 2020, allowing the researchers to contrast the new data with the findings gathered. So it's just real crazy, man. It's just a social experiment, right? It's very interesting, you know, to treat people like that. And I think the goal, even with the the last industrial revolution, the fourth one, AI technology replacing humans, jobs. I think one of the main things as well is to crash the dollar and to get off of monetary coin and paper currency and go right into digital currency. Now, I don't know if it would be a card, a scanning of your hand, scanning of your forehead, or would it be a Bitcoin or some sort? I don't know, but just think if they got rid of monetary, they'd be able to track every single transaction, right? And so that'll be kind of wild as well. And then especially if it's all digital, if you have a low social credit score, they can stop your payments, delete your account. I mean, it just, I don't know. Very interesting times we live in. But, you know, my Yah shall supply all your needs according to his riches and glory in Yahushua HaMashiach. Let's watch this other video, and then we are going to get out of here. Share. Let me know what you think about this universal basic income. Let's watch this cargo ships thing. This is another thing that's very interesting. Check it out. Oh, wait a minute. I made it smaller instead of larger. Here we go.
Coast of Los Angeles, the reason you're paying more for everyday items and perhaps struggling to find some in the store, a vital parking lot in the Pacific. Container ships, mostly from Asia, stretching across the horizon. To get an up-close view, we rode along with LA Port Police Marine 12. It didn't take long. The radar suddenly filled with ships.
That's it right here. They're
They're right outside the outer harbor. 76 ships waiting for up to 10 days each to enter the port of Los Angeles or nearby Long Beach. Everywhere you look, there's a ship just sitting out here on the water. And 500,000 containers. But this is just one component of the stretched global supply chain that runs from Asian manufacturers across the Pacific to American consumers, now backed up and bottlenecked. Gene Soroka runs the Port of Los Angeles, America's biggest. How many ships a day now are coming in here?
In the last month and a half, we're averaging 18 ships a day.
That's nearly double the number that arrived daily before the pandemic. Making matters worse, there aren't enough truck drivers to take the goods from the docks to the nation's stores.
The American importer cannot digest all of this cargo into their domestic supply chains. 50% of all truckers licensed to do business at ports don't come here.
Hired away by internet and big chain retailers. It's not just California. New York's ports are also backed up and leading to a shortage of everything, from electronics to toys to cars and car parts, building materials, clothing, and sending prices higher. A lot of those holiday gifts you're hoping to give right now may be stuck sitting out here on the water. The question is whether they're going to be offloaded out of those massive containers onto the trucks, onto the rail lines, and to your local store in time for the holidays.
So the books not showing up in time or showing up one at a time would affect the
Ashley Kristoff owns Serendipity and Muse House Retreats gift shop in Studio City. Now hoping her orders arrive in time for the holidays.
What we were being quoted was 4 to 6 weeks turnaround time, but some of the orders that I had placed earlier in the year I still have yet to see.
Her own supply chain now backed up into the Pacific. Yeah, so the bottom line here, according to the experts, if you're thinking about holiday gifts, you should start probably ordering now. Don't wait till Thanksgiving. Don't wait until the run-up to Christmas and Hanukkah. Order now because there may not be enough when it actually comes time for the holidays. They may be stuck right out there. Guys, back to you.
Tell me it was a fascinating.
That's crazy. Did you hear that?
How long
Did you hear that? Order now. Get it now. They even started the Black Friday earlier. Before, it used to be Black Friday used to be after Thanksgiving. They got Walmart got sales now. It's crazy. Oh man, it's gonna be a shortage. Your baby ain't gonna be able to get their toys under their grove. Baby, look underneath the grove, and it ain't gonna be no toys underneath there. That ain't funny, but I'm just like, bro, it's crazy. But one thing that I was very, 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 very interested that I seen in that video was it was a small business owner, right? Depending on those cargo ships to bring the goods to her shop so she can fulfill orders. And remember, what I tell you is taking care, it's getting rid of middle class. So a lot of small business owners, right? They can't bounce back as much as a big box, a Target, a Walmart, you know what I mean? Bed Bath and Beyond, those big box stores that got franchise chains all over, they can recover. Even when they had the different riots, like when the George Floyd thing happened, and they tore up a Target and they tore up a AutoZone. Well, of course they got insurance, but then they got leverage from their other businesses as well. But if you just a local mom and pop in the city that happened in, and they tear up and burn up your stuff, you can't. A lot of stores close. A lot of store doors close after them different riots and different things. A lot of stores doors. Okay, no, I can't see that. A lot of stores doors closed because they couldn't. If they was considered non-essential. If you remember a year ago. Only essential workers can be open. Only essential businesses can be open. Non-essential businesses cannot open. Well, if you can't pay your bills and pay your staff and pay yourself, and that's going to cripple you. It's going to hurt the economy. It's going to crash the economy, but it's going to cripple the individual businesses if they deem your business a non-essential. So you got hit by a riot, you can't recover from it, or you wait from your insurance. Non-essential worker, and now this. Oh, we can't. Oh, this bottleneck, this backed up. How did it get backed up all of a sudden? Oh, because people at home they not working, and they sit at home collecting unemployment, and truckers are not driving. You know, they might have did that, but I don't know. Are we going to work? We're going to make sure all of these packages get to where they need to get to. We're going to work 24 hours. They've been working 24 hours since the inception of it. So I don't understand that. Tomorrow, we're going to work 24 hours to make sure this stuff is up and running. You always been working 24 hours. All barges work 24 hours, right? All cargo container fulfillment centers places work 24 hours. So I don't get that, right? Now I can buy paying a few truck workers. Hey, here you go. Here goes some money. Here goes some UBI, a little pre-UBI, right, in the form of child tax credit and stimulus checks, and extended unemployment checks, so you don't have to work. So you can. It's a chain reaction. We all connected together, baby. We all connected together. And I got this one video. I don't know, people think I'm a conspiracy theory channel, but it's not, But I got this one video where, like I said, the powers that be came to some of these farmers and gardeners. It was like, and they was producing food for different stores and different neighborhoods and communities. There's like, destroy your crops. Destroy, the farmers saying this. They come to them, destroy your crops. Do not sell your food. Do not sell your beef. Do not sell your corn. Destroy it. If you destroy it, we'll give you such and such and such and such per acre. But if you go fulfill the order and go ahead and grow it, and you're not going to get government subsidies from it. I said, what? So now you can turn around and say, oh, it's a shortage. I tell you, man, when we're doing this agroculture, teaching our people how to grow food, there is not a food shortage. I'm just here to tell you here now. Like, I'm not even serious. Like, I do this on a part-time because I got a full-time job. And we got stuff growing everywhere. Everywhere. Right? So my thing is, if I got serious, right fertilizer, right soil, right team, we can feed a lot of people. Healthy, fresh, organic food. Like, I'm playing around with it. I hate to say playing around with the garden because it's my passion. But it's not sustaining me full time as of yet. And we got stuff going bad on the table. We can't sell it quick enough. Right? It's just stuff everywhere. So to say is, so just think if people was to come together and they grow different crops, right? One person just doing beans, one person doing onions, one person doing tomatoes, one person doing squash, one person doing greens, space it out. Everybody have their own little crop. We can feed each other, but they don't want us to come together. They want us to be individual on the island. Everybody got them stimulus checks, and I said, look, if a few of us could put, I ain't saying spend all your check, but everybody, if you got 5 people to put $2,000 together, that's $10,000, and you can do a lot of different things with that kind of money, right? You'll be able to own something together and build. What we do, we run to go get Jordans and flat screen TVs from Walmart's and paying back bills and surviving if your income had got cut off. We get that too. But I'm saying, as far as not coming together, 6 feet apart, mask on your face, don't talk, don't communicate. If anybody's saying something against what we're saying, it's misinformation. Just wait for our next instruction. When we can do this, we can come together and we can do this, right? Here's the picture again, the mayor, and that's me at the hat right there. It's Pastor Marco and Pastor Dex. And then these Shannons right here, they grow greens in their backyard. I mean, some beautiful greens, right? And this was a lot. This is the mayor in the middle, mayor of Gary, Indiana, Chocolate City, Gary, Indiana. He came out, he's seen that lot. I'm telling you, we playing around. We weren't even serious, man. And we grew so much stuff. You know what I mean? So just think, if we amend the soil, test the soil. This is not a farming show, but we was talking about universal basic income. I don't know how we got on that, but I'm saying it can be done if we get focused and work together. All right. So that universal basic, I think it's one more video kind of explaining it, and then we're going to get out of here. The poverty one. Let's watch that one. If you got some more information on it, share. Let's see. Share. I got to give me some new lights too, y'all. My lights just went out on me. How the pandemic boosted the university. Let's see. There we go. Let's hear what he got to say about it. Very, very interesting topic, UBI.
The weight of poverty. It's important for people to understand who we're talking about. Because oftentimes people think when a person is in poverty, oh, that's a person I pass a person on the street and that person's in poverty. That person is in poverty, yes. But here's the reality. And this is just New York City. Half of New York City before COVID-19, half of New York City was in poverty for at least a year over the past 4 years. Not half of a borough, not half of a demographic. Half of the city was in poverty for at least a year over the past 4 years. So when people say, well, I don't know anybody who lives in poverty, the reality is that you're probably passing people and interacting with people who are living in poverty every single day, and you just don't know it. The people who are serving you your coffee in the morning, you're staying in a hotel, the person who's changing your bed sheets, the people who you see doing even city and state functioning jobs that are still below a poverty line. These things are real. And so I think what's important for people to understand is not just what does the horror of poverty look like for people who are living in poverty, and oftentimes it's very predictable and generational poverty, this lack of economic mobility, this lack of economic opportunity that people are succumbing with. But also to understand that it's not something that's foreign, it's not something that's separate, it's not something that's away, it's not the others, but that in many ways, there are people who are completely around us, and actually that line between them and where we are is remarkably thin.
Yeah, and when we talk about solutions to all this, obviously the need and the speed to get aid to people in need has obviously accelerated here in 2020. But an interesting kind of trend here, and just to step back and think about it, was one of these ideas of universal basic income. I know a large portion of the relief you've been giving now is basic cash assistance, just getting cash out the door to people in need. We've been chatting with mayors around the US who are increasingly realizing the importance of cash handouts here in this pandemic. But now it seems like it's changed the views of a lot of people who might have thrown the idea of universal basic income out the window. What have you learned about that being a more important tool to address some of these issues?
I think we've learned that cash support matters. And I think that we've learned that, we really do have to ask ourselves a fundamental question of what does it take for a person to survive? And this goes well past and beyond the question of things like income and a minimum wage and a living wage. But what does it take for a person to exist and survive? And while I'm very excited because I think it's still early for people to say can a UBI work on a grand national level? Because I think there's still data that we still need to be able to see and understand what it looks like in a scalable fashion. I think we've been incredibly encouraged by what we've seen from some individual states and individual cities. And I think we've been incredibly encouraged by the work that we've been able to do on the cash assistance side within Robinhood. Because just if you look at this past year, Robinhood has raised over $60 million in relief. And about half of that has gone towards cash assistance. And when we say cash assistance, it is literally providing cash supports to people and who in that moment need it most. And even when people say, well, there was a cash assistance element that came out of the CARES Act, that's true, but millions of people were left out of that. For people who were undocumented, even if you were working and paying taxes, you were left out of that conversation. If you're part of a mixed status household, you were left out of that conversation. If you were working but weren't making enough money to hit the income tax filing threshold, you were left out of that conversation. And so we have devoted a good portion of our entire relief fund really on just giving people cash supports and cash assistance at a time.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Wow. Very, 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 very interesting. All right. I want you guys to let me know what you think about that. UBI, Universal Basic Income. Everything that glitters not gold. And once you subscribe, like, share. If you haven't already, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe. Join us on Facebook /Elephant Man Podcast. We have very, very interesting discussion in there and beautiful artwork. So I want you to come in there and share your stories, share what's going on. You know, it's a community page. Come on in there. Also, IG, Elephant Man _podcast. All right. And on Twitter, which I use sometime, twitter.com/posterboys. All right. And, you know, subscribe, like, share. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you can know when new material is coming out. Coming up, we're going to get this, Lord Terry Spell Life. Mora Only Love Austin of Prophetic Whirlwind Ministries. Very, very powerful sister. We're going to get her on here, and we got some good questions for her. So blessings to you guys. Make sure you subscribe, like, share. Elephant Man Podcast Network, Grown Man Conversation, Dillon Evans in the room. And I am out of here.
Perfect.